Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Hit like buttons, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. And if you are of a nervous disposition, if you're easily triggered, if you cry a lot, if you're not in a great space, please turn off now, because this is going to upset a lot of you. Anyone in that space is going to be upset. The title is going to annoy you. What I'm about to say is going to frustrate you. You're going to be getting all crazy in the comment section. So just step away now. Step away now and save yourself a little bit of pain. Because the facts I'm about to bring, coupled with an opinion, is going to hurt some of your feelings. But Chelsea feel back to me. Chelsea feel back. And I'll tell you why. And I paused there just for you all to consider your thoughts. I know the knee-jerk reaction is going to be, no, they're not back. It's been a good start to the season, but it's a false storm. It's a flash in the pan. It isn't. The only challenge on them being back, I understand, is you could argue they're not back until they're winning the Premier League. That I kind of get. But this team, in my opinion, is going to become title contenders. They may not compete for this season's title, but by the end of this season, I think we're going to be convinced that they can challenge next year. And it also brings together the point that rebuilds in the modern day era are not manager-centric. And we'll get on to why that is really important later on down the line. But let's start with some facts. Matt Law, as you can see here, Chelsea have only lost in the league to Arsenal and Manchester City since February. Doesn't mean every performance is perfect, but nobody's is. But 2 defeats since February in the Premier League. He goes on to say they are better than people have been giving them credit for. And it's true. I think when we're seeing some of their narrow games, you know what, they could have conceded more against Wolves. They could have lost to Bournemouth. We're thinking about the overarching 2 years. We did that a lot with Arsenal when they started to improve. It was almost, we wouldn't believe what we were seeing because we still had the burning embers of their banter era surrounding us. But there are more stats to throw into this. Maresca is now the first manager to win. He's opening 3 away games in the Premier League since Pep Guardiola did it in 2016, which is a very, very big achievement indeed. You have the fact that Nico Jackson has scored more non-penalty goals since the start of last season than Salah, Son, Havertz, Isak, Solanke. He scored 1 more goal in the Premier League since last season from open play than Mohamed Salah. And in terms of non-penalty goals and assists since the start of last season, is 1 ahead of the brilliant Bukayo Saka. And I'm loving that Chelsea fans actually have shared this information with us, have educated us that they're bringing to life the fact that you can't just look at a team in isolation over the last few weeks. I think any team, you have to, and I'll give you an example. We don't do it with Man City. Man City have a bad couple of games. Let me take a drink of this water. If Man City have a bad couple of games, what we don't do is go, that's it. This is them forever and a day. We look at their history. We look at recent history. We look at the medium and longer term history, and we draw a judgment that it's a blip. Now, if we start to do that with Chelsea, since February, they have started to improve. Since February, which is a fair body of work, they're conceding less goals. They're winning more games. They're losing less. And they've done this through a managerial transition. And my fervent belief for a long time has been when you look at clubs that build their models, build their structure in a non-manager-centric way. So City is not built in the image of Pep. It's built in a way that Pep can be highly successful. Liverpool were not built in Klopp's image. They were built in a way that Klopp could be successful, but so could his replacement, as long as there was a large overlap between the managers in terms of the profile of player that they want, the type of physicality of player that they want. And we know this is what Chelsea have been trying to build, a situation where the managers can be plug and play. They used to do this under Roman in a different era where they could spend more than anybody else. That isn't the case anymore, so they've got to do it differently. So I like the fact they're including stats from the Poch era. This isn't to defend Poch. This isn't to say that he didn't deserve to be sacked. He absolutely did. But it goes to show that the club are progressing irrespective of the manager. And that is what happens at football clubs, where you have a non-manager centric system, structure, culture, whatever word you want to use. You see this Bayern Munich sometimes. Real Madrid famously went from Ancelotti to Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez didn't work, went to Zidane, and look at the success they got almost instantly because the structure was there. Bayern Munich, what has dramatically... It's bought a couple of new players this summer, but that happens every year. What has changed from last year to this? The head coach. Not the structure of the club, not the way in which the club is run, the philosophy of player that they want, just the coach. You can do that when the structure isn't built in the image of that individual. And I think Chelsea, there've been mistakes. They've got a lot wrong. I don't think any Chelsea fan worth his or her salt would deny this. But we're starting to see the plan come together. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't do with more players. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't strive to get better and better. It doesn't mean you've got low standards because they're not at the top of the mountain yet. We need to have grown-up and balanced conversations about this. But I think we're witnessing a Chelsea who are back, or at the very least, very close to getting back to the levels they're at, that they used to be at. This team is going to cook this year. They're going to continue scoring goals. Nico Jackson gets a lot of criticism. But I have to reflect, and I have to look back and go, do you know what? Maybe we're overlooking the amount of goals this guy gets. I still think it's fair criticism that those clutch goals in those big games probably need to come a little bit more frequently. But you know what? Even if they buy somebody else, say Osimhen, to do that, but Nico Jackson keeps scoring at this rate in the other types of games, that's still a very important component of your squad, of your team, and for your club. I just don't think we can undo the facts. And the one thing I said about Maresca coming in, my view was it was going to go horribly wrong or amazingly well. And it looks as though it's the latter. This looks like it could go amazingly well for Chelsea. They're starting to get the clean sheets more regularly away from home. They're not losing games. They're right up there right now, points-wise, they're in a title race. But they're probably going to be in the top 4 race. They're going to invest more in the summer. Chelsea are looking very good. Now, we know they have their off-the-field issues that need to be resolved. And I'm sure they will be. And I think seeing the two owners together yesterday would have been a very nice piece of medicine for Chelsea fans to know that, well, at the very least, it's civil. Hopefully now the media leaks stop. They get it resolved between themselves. And for their sake, for Chelsea Football Club's sake, they go on to that next level. But I think you may not believe they're back or close to being back. You may not believe they're doing very well at all. But the vast majority of people that are pushing back against Chelsea right now, it is coming from a very negative, very bitter and very tribalistic stance. Others will do it from the sort of pedestal of, well, they're not back to where they were at their optimum best under, say, in the Roman era of probably between 2004 and 2012. And until they're back to that level, I'm not going to say Chelsea are back. Now, I respect that to a certain degree, but I think what you've also got to consider is the world has changed. There are other teams, there are other clubs. The level of manager is different. I want to say other clubs that can now compete with them financially, and that changes the landscape. It really, really does. You know, people always talk. Usain Bolt's the greatest 100-meter sprinter we've ever come across. Would he have been any less fast if there was 2 other people in his era that were quicker than him? Could he have done anything more? Hindsight tells us no, but in the moment we'd have just said, oh, he's got to do more. He's got to do more if he wants to be the champ. Sometimes there is nothing you can do. And I just think what Chelsea need to do is focus on themselves, get their own house in order. And look, if they keep picking up points like they did against West Ham, if they keep improving as they have been, they will become title challengers. And I feel that once you're back to challenging for titles, you are there or thereabouts of being at your optimum level when you've got the chance to win these trophies. Because being in a title race, being able to push the best team in the leagues for 38 games, typically means you're one of the best teams, not just in England, but in Europe when you're one of the top leagues, when you're in La Liga, when you're in Serie A, when you're in the Premier League, as it were. But look, Chelsea fans, I want to get your views and your opinions on some of these stats and facts that have come out, where you currently think Chelsea are in the situation. Are you back? Will you have a brilliant season? Am I being a little bit premature? I'm very open to that feedback. But for me, Chelsea are cooking. For me, Chelsea looks scary right now. And for me, I think we're looking at a team that by the end of this season, many people are going to start considering to be title contending worthy. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.